Guys, we're back at it. Here's episode like number 9 or 10. I got to go back and check. We're happy to be here with you guys. This is 12/30/24. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve, and then we roll on into 2025. Are you excited for 2025?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Blessed,
Yeah.
for another opportunity to do something different with another year.
Yeah, I feel that. Do you have any personal goals you want to share?
Oh yeah, I want to get over the hurdle of the barrier of thought and releasing art, you know what I mean? Just start releasing art, whether it's my book or music or whatever else I'm doing.
Right.
I got a goal of, it's like 25, 26, 26, 27 sounds too late. If you're going to do it, you got to do it. You know what I mean? 26, 27, that's pushing it.
Yeah.
As long as you're already in it, okay. But
if you're just trying to get started within it.
Me, I got to go, man.
I feel you. I feel like that's one of the things that is so underestimated by people within that age demographic is that they don't understand that, like, most people are like, oh, it's my 20s. I'm supposed to fuck them up. It's my 20s. I'm supposed to have
party.
Fun. I'm supposed to party. I'm supposed to drink. I'm supposed to. And then, when you really dissect it, it's like, who told you were supposed to do these things, right? That's number one. And then number two is, what I tell myself is like, damn, bro, if I would have got started earlier, I would have been so much further in life. But the fact that I chose, at the same time, I wouldn't change anything that I went through. Just because I feel like it molded me into the man that I was, and I wouldn't have the knowledge that I have now if I didn't go through certain shit that I went through. But it's one of those things where it's like, damn, if I would have, if I would have. And that's why I always tell people within, they're 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. I'm like, bro, you don't understand. If you were to get your head out your ass and just like sacrifice 2 or 3 years and play it right, you would, by the time you're 30, bro, you would be so fucking far in life. Like you would have passed all your friends and then some, bro. Because most people our age demographic are not willing to do the things that it takes. They might be willing to do the things here and there, or they might be willing to do the things once a week, or they might be willing to do the things once a month. I heard Alex Hormozy say something that made me laugh. He said, if you have a friend who says they want to be in a rock band and they want to tour the world, but they're playing Fortnite every fucking day and then they practice on Fridays, it's like, do you really want that? Or does it just sound nice?
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's what separates, honestly, the winners from the losers, is because the winners who actually want it, they're willing to go through the dreadful moments of, okay, if I want to be a rock star and tour the world, I'm going to be playing my guitar or whatever instrument I play every single day practically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And it's that willingness to give up those destructive habits that holds a lot of people back. Because what I noticed is, okay, say, for example, I owe you $5.
Right.
And I say, I'm going to pay you $5 on Friday.
Right.
But instead, on Friday comes around and I have the option to either pay you $5 or go buy this thing that is a destructive habit for myself.
Right.
And instead of paying you the $5, I go buy this thing that I know is destructive to myself.
Right.
And I see a lot of examples of that everywhere. You can kind of put that in every situation or scenario, but what it comes down to is people's habits outweigh their words.
Yo, that's powerful. People's habits outweigh their words. That is so powerful.
And so if I have such this habit that I feel like I need and it's in my routine.
Yeah.
Even if I tell you I'm going to pay you Friday, I'm not going to pay you Friday.
You're so right about that. And you don't know how many people have done that to me. It's crazy. And the thing is, I know exactly why it is that they still end up paying me what they owe me. This is why I'm not hesitant when I loan people money or things like that. It's just when I loan somebody that, I know from the gate that I'm willing to lose it because there's a chance I might not get it back. But I like to judge people's character off of that. Like, if you've never owed me money or you've never done me wrong in any way, shape, or form, and you ask me to help you, I'll help you. Just because I want to see where you stand as a person, right? And to me, $100, $200, even $500 is worth it. Because if I loan you $500 and you say you're going to give me the money back by X amount of time, and then that time comes, if you give me that money back, then I know that next time you need some, you're credible. And that's what I tell people. You have a social credit score with people, with your environment. The people who know you, it's a credit social score, whether you realize it or not. Because if you give me that money back, I'm going to go ahead and say he's credible for it. If I can help you, I'm going to help him because he does what he says he's going to do, right? But then if I come, you say you're going to give me my money on Monday, you don't give me my money on Monday, A, I'm not going to be butthurt because at the end of the day, I already knew this was going to happen. B, I know that the reason you're probably not giving me the money, even though you have the money to give me, brings up totally what you just said. Their habits outweigh their word. And that's crazy to me.
And that tells me a lot about their character.
Right.
Like you said, it can determine if somebody's credible or not.
Right.
Like, if your habits are outweighing your word or what you say you're going to do, I think that's when people get to spiraling backwards or spiraling forward.
Yes.
Because if your word outweighs your habits, then even if you have a bad habit, if you say, I'm going to stop smoking tomorrow.
Right.
I'm going to stop drinking next week. 2025, I'm not drinking. And say, depending on who that's coming from, people perceive it differently.
100%.
So if you're a man of your word or a woman of your word and you say, I'm going to stop drinking, people are like, oh, he's serious.
Yeah.
Or she's serious. But if you're somebody who just be capping, you just
be
be
like, all right.
Be like, hey, we don't believe shit you saying.
Right.
And
that's the thing that happens with people. I talk about that in my book where I say that when you don't stay accountable to doing what you say you're gonna do, your self-worth diminishes internally, because subconsciously your mind already knows that you're not going to do what you say you're gonna do. Even though you say you're gonna do it, subconsciously your mind is already saying that's not true.
Right.
And so subconsciously your self-worth diminishes, because confidence comes from doing what you say you're going to do. That's like the foundation of confidence. It's built within doing what you say you're going to do. And so the people who you see are very confident is because they have a track record that shows, look at all these times I said I was going to do something and I did it.
Yeah.
They have that track record versus somebody who, look at all these times I said I was going to do something and I did not do it. And so their confidence diminishes. That's part of their self-worth, is their confidence. And I think that's like an epidemic going on in 2024, going on to 2025, is that a lot of people talk and talk and talk, but they don't actually do. Yeah. Or they're too afraid to even say they're going to do something because they don't want to feel embarrassed when they don't do what they said they're going to do.
I mean, hey, if people could make it or get to what they want by talking, everybody would have it.
100%.
Everybody would be there. Everybody would have the car they want. Everybody would have the career, the job, the skill they want.
Facts.
Because like they say, talk is cheap, and a lot of people sleep on the truth. A lot of people overlook how important it is in your life to just tell the truth.
Yeah.
Because even just one lie puts you in a different bucket. Like, now I have to question every single thing you say.
Yes, 100%.
And a lot of people don't think about it that way, but that's the reality of it. Like, even if I've known you for 20 years and I know your character, if you're a liar, that's going to be in the back burner on my head.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I heard what you said, but I remember this one time you told me a whole story and made the whole thing up.
Yeah, well,
So
yeah,
now,
100%.
Now, am I supposed to believe you in this case, or?
Yep.
So it's tough, and a lot of people don't sleep. A lot of people don't think about that. So
yeah,
telling the truth is important.
It is not just important, it's vital, because truth matters not only in your personal life, but it matters in almost every area of life. If I go into business with somebody and I feel like they're dishonest, I'm going to be unattracted from wanting to do business with them, because in the back of my mind, I'm going to be thinking, what if they're shady? What if they do this? What if they do that? You know? Mm-hmm. And I don't think people truly dissect and understand the impact that consistently lying has on them. It's kind of crazy. You seen something?
Nah. No. Yeah, bro. And it just comes down to a character thing.
Yeah. You know, that's funny, because I was talking to this person the other day. I won't mention their name or relationship. Dear person, me, I love them. And they're one of the most honest people I know, actually. But it's funny because they got into a relationship, and then the relationship has been rocky, where like they're good, and then like, oh, I'm leaving them, never going back with them, yada yada. And then it's like 2 weeks later, they're back together, you know? Mm-hmm. And then I heard the same story like 2 times already. So this last time that it happened, I'm like, yo, don't give me that shit. Like, you know you're going back, so why are you out here crying for no fucking reason? You know you're going back. Like, so why are you hurting for something that... And it's funny, because as soon as I said that, they come back to me like an hour later. So you really think I should get back with them? But I don't think people realize that, you know, you do... For me, it's like you do something like 2 or 3 times, and I already know your pattern. I already know your pattern, you know?
You know, the craziest part is morally and for themselves, they probably really don't want to go back.
Right.
It's as if, you know, if they really got did dirty or something, or lied to, or some scandalous, they probably really telling themselves they don't want to.
Yeah.
They really don't want to, but then we just fall back into what's comfortable and, you know, what we're used to.
Our old
ways.
What's
easy.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how people end right back up in situations they don't want to be in.
100%, bro.
And then on top of that, they get so comfortable in the situation that they don't even know themselves anymore.
Yeah, that's so true. People get lost in the process of trying to find who they are, that it's almost like some people just go the total opposite direction for whatever reason, you know?
Yeah, we should talk about that. You know, I had a thought yesterday, or the other day, I was going to put this in a speech or something, but it's like one day you're going to wake up and you're not going to know who you are.
What does that mean to you?
It means one day you're going to wake up and you're going to realize that most of your thoughts, most of your facts, most of your beliefs, most of your viewpoints have came from everybody you grew up around, and everybody you knew, and everybody you thought had all the answers. And people were just saying what they thought they knew.
Right.
What they thought were facts.
Right.
And so now they're spilling you this your whole life, and you've been being spilled your whole life, regurgitated information that may or may not be true from everybody around you.
Yeah.
But you trust these people, so you believe these people.
Yes.
And that's the only information you've ever had. And then one day you get to a point where you wake up and you realize,
who the fuck am I?
Is this my information?
Yeah.
Or should I go out and learn and study and research and find my own viewpoints and facts and things like that?
For sure. I feel like...
or it can even be a thing spiritually too, like not knowing yourself.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I agree 100%. I'm glad that happened to me early in life. I feel like I had that realization or wake-up call when I was like 24, I believe. 23, 24. I had that wake-up call where I just got to a stage in my life where the same things I was doing was getting so redundant, and I was being exposed to new information where it made me realize that there's so much more to life. And I was living a pretty good, comfortable life. You know, I had money, cars, I mean, no job, just fucking doing whatever I wanted every single day. But the lifestyle wasn't exactly what was fulfilling me anymore, you know? And so I had that realization, and I started to digest so much different information at a time. And then I just started to question everything. Like, why do I believe what I believe? And then I just, it really messed me up for a little while, because I started to realize that a lot of the things that I held so true and dear to my heart was like, why have I never even questioned this? You know, and I don't think most people ever come to that until way, way later in life, you know, and it must suck to wake up at 40, 45 years old and realize that everything you thought you knew is not the way you think now.
And the deeper you dig into those things you hold dear to your heart, you realize that they're opinions.
Yeah.
They're not even truly facts, because if you really think about it, say when it comes to religion or politics or whatever people argue about, whatever people believe they're right and you're wrong, and exactly what we're not supposed to be doing is getting divided.
Right.
But that's how it happens, is I'm right and you're wrong. So now we're separate.
Yep.
And it's not even facts. It's just opinions.
Yeah, most of the things are just opinions. That's for sure.
Because who's to say what's right or wrong? Who is another human to tell you, like, I'm right and you're wrong, and I know and you don't?
Yeah, well, I think that, I think we spoke about that a while back, where if you think something to be true, it's true to you.
Yeah.
And whoever people can come and try to argue their point or their perception, but what you've already made up your mind to be true is going to be true in your heart, no matter what anybody else says to you. And I've seen this firsthand. Recently, I've been, like I told you, I've been getting into understanding the roots of Christianity, and then I start to dive in and understand the roots of Islam, or the Muslim religion. And then I've been seeing like debates back and forth, soaking all this information in. And there's a lot of times where certain individuals are proved wrong, but even though they are proved wrong, they still hold on to that belief, like they don't want to be wrong. And the facts are like there, like it's written in scripture, XYZ, but to them, that doesn't matter to them. It's their belief that they hold is going to be true no matter what, And so that's what I mean when I say, no matter what you tell somebody, what they already made up their mind to believe true is what they're going to stick to.
Yeah. And that's and that could go the same for like confidence or self-belief or success principles. It could work in the whole opposite polar direction.
Right.
Of saying, is if you believe this is going to happen, or you believe you can make it, or you believe you can do it, it's the same thing. So whether you holding on to something negatively, opinion, a fact, or whatever, or you holding on to something positively, like a strong faith and belief in yourself, then it's true. Whatever you think is true, and that is true in your world. It's true, right? Doesn't matter what people tend to think or what people are going to say, because they don't live in your world. No.
If you really dissect that even further, we're all living in our own world. Like, the only reason you and I call this table brown is because we all agree that this table is brown. But if you really think about it, I will never actually see this table the way you see this table. And so it's like, we might think we're viewing the same thing, but this table could be fucking yellow to you and you're just calling it brown, and I'd never know that.
Well, it's just like, say you read a scripture in the Bible.
Right.
And one scripture, I read it, you read it, 100 other people read it.
Yeah.
They could take it 100 different ways.
Yeah, for sure.
So we could look at the same thing and not see the same thing.
Yeah.
We can read the same thing and not see the same thing.
Right.
So what makes people think they're supposed to agree on everything?
Yeah, I don't think we're supposed to agree on everything.
It's just funny because, people get so passionate and are so willing and able to argue over opinions.
Right.
It's like you're willing to get heated and tell this person they're wrong and their beliefs are wrong, when in all actuality, you're arguing over an opinion. Politics, race, religion,
sports,
sexuality, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't understand why people think their opinion matters so much to, say, go on social media and say something negative.
I think a lot of it
go on social media and be a hater, or go and just be negative, or just for no reason.
Well, two parts to that. I think that going on social media and spreading nastiness, for lack of a better word. I think that stems from the fact that they don't have the confidence to do that in person. And so they hide behind a computer or a phone and do that. Because if you look at most of those people who are doing that, like sometimes I see a hateful comment and I'm like, what the fuck? So I click on their profile and it's just like they don't even have a picture, or it's a picture of their dog, or like,
it's like a fake profile, burner account.
Yeah, and it's like I can't understand how somebody would be like, let me go take time out of my day to make a fake profile and then just go spread hate. Like, that's just the best that I can do with my day to day, And then number two to that is it comes from a lack of confidence, like we were talking earlier, a lack of whatever it is that they're lacking in their life. They're lacking something, and they're trying to fill that void, I feel like. And instead of filling it with something positive, something that's going to help them, they fill it with what the world seems to give them, which might be hate, or might be, whatever negative emotion they're feeling. It might be stemming from something that they feel that they're getting. But instead of working on the thing that it is that they're lacking, they're actually feeling it even more. So psychologically, they're almost playing like psychological warfare with themselves without even realizing it. Because it's easy to be nasty, it's easy to be negative, it's easy to be pessimistic. It actually takes a lot more courage to be optimistic, to be positive.
Mm-hmm.
You actually have to try at that. It doesn't take much effort to have something negative happen to you and then respond in a negative manner. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot more to have something negative happen to you and realize, like, okay, how can I change this to my outcome? Right.
Yeah.
So, different people lack in different areas, but I have faith in the human race. I feel like we are way better than we used to be.
In
many different areas.
What I think is really starting to change is, back in the day, say 80s or 90s, maybe early 2000s.
Right.
If somebody was into spirituality or psychedelics or, really deep spiritual thinking, they were called like a hippie.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, those are just hippies. They're crazy. They don't know anything. Or, you know what I mean? How people would just speak about certain individuals or whatever. But I think it's starting to become more popular to be spiritually aware and not say woke, but more aware,
100%. I agree with that. And then the other thing I'll add to that is I think it used to be cool. There was like a period where it used to be cool to do drugs, where it used to be cool to, be a bully, where it used to be cool to go out and party and drink all night, where that used to be the scene. And I feel like from like 2024, like the beginning 2024, maybe even part of I would say like 2023, honestly, forward, you can see the difference where it's starting to become cool to actually like be disciplined. It's starting to become cool to actually go to the gym. It's starting to become cool to actually not drink, to actually not smoke, to actually stay focused. It's starting to become cool to actually talk about a different vision. And so that's what gives me inspiration for the future, is that I see the full circle. It used to be like the whole negative aspect of things was cool. And then now people are like starting to put that shit down, Like if you were to see rappers back in the day when they were sipping on lean heavy, everybody's like, oh yeah, talking about how cool that is. And they got the lean plug, this and the third. Nowadays, if you see a rapper posting something about lean in the comments, it's all you'll see is like, bro, stop. That's liquid heroin. Like that,
Yeah, people are
they're putting it down,
Yeah.
And so it gives me hope. It gives me hope for civilization. I think that regardless of how ignorant we can be as a society, I think that our consciousness is starting to progress and evolve to the point where we're starting to understand certain things. I was talking to my friend about this actually the other day, where I was talking about how we've never been so close to Martin Luther King's dream than we are today, and yet people still try to make it seem like we're so far. Like when Martin Luther King was talking about us all living together as a society with no hate, and we've never been as diversified as we are today.
Yeah.
You know, we've never had as many different ethnicity groups be friends with each other, just share the same room without thinking about race at all, you know? And yet we still try to push this race card in this race narrative. It don't make sense to me. Because if we're really going to push that race card or that race narrative, go back to when Martin Luther King was doing all that. That was real racism. And then if you progress forward to what we're doing now, we've never been so close to that line that even the people who were marching with Martin Luther King would have only dreamed of the moments we live in today.
Yeah, and that's true. And from a perspective standpoint, you know, it's almost messed up.
Yeah.
It's almost I don't know, you kind of just have to put yourself in the shoes of 70 years ago compared to today.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking different water fountains, different bathrooms.
Oh, yeah.
Sit at the back of the bus.
Segregation at its finest. And that wasn't that long ago.
Hosed down, whatever.
We think that was long ago.
Not even 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Not even.
And what people fail to understand, I'm going to hit you with the fun fact, is that there's more slavery today than there's ever been. And people don't understand that. We live in the United States, and we're not enslaved physically here in the United States. When we think of slavery, we think of being enslaved physically in the fields and picking cotton, XYZ. But if you go to a country like North Korea, there are so many slaves there. Do your research. There are so many slaves there right now. There's people from North Korea trying to escape North Korea into China. And then when they finally get to China, there is Chinese military there messing with them, telling them they're going to send them back to North Korea. And they end up keeping all the virgin girls or any girl for like slavery pretty much, but they tell them they're going to be slaves. And they either have the choice of actually listening and becoming a slave, or they can go back to North Korea. So it's like, fuck it. They're going to choose to be a slave because they know if they go back to North Korea, they're going to get killed. So they just choose to be a slave. And I don't think people understand that. Like when we think about slavery, they think about like long time ago, this used to be a thing. No, it's going on right now. You just happen to be living in the greatest country in the world, the United States of America, where it's not nowhere near your circumference, so you don't think this is real. But this is going on right now. As we speak right now, as this podcast is going on right now, there is slavery going on.
There's all types of stuff.
It's crazy, you know?
Everything is
so be grateful for the life you have here in the United States of America. As much as you want to hate and say all this crazy stuff is going on here, you hate this country, this, that, and the third, you really don't. Most people who talk like that haven't been outside of the country.
Yeah, they don't understand how good they have it.
No, they don't.
You know,
they don't.
And my grandma asked the question, anytime somebody's saying that, where would you rather go?
Yep. So tell me, where would you rather be?
Where would you actually rather spend 365 days, not a vacation?
Right.
Not a little getaway.
Yeah.
Where would you actually rather live with their laws, their rules, their citizens, their population?
Yep.
How they do things. And
don't get me wrong, there is places outside of the United States that, you know, are awesome. Like, you know, Switzerland has a lot of great things going for them. There's a variety of different countries that have a lot of great things going for them. But even at the end of the day, we are so free here that to some people this is just a dream, you know.
Man.
And sometimes I think about that, and I realize that, like, how blessed I am to be able to wake up in this body and have the consciousness I have and be aware of my surroundings here in a free country like this.
And then to wake up and do whatever you want.
Yeah, because God could have just said, you're gonna be North Korean and you're gonna just have it fucked, man. And it's crazy to me, when you actually break it down and think about how good we have it here. And then
the possibilities of being born where you
were born, yeah,
in the United States, in Nevada, in this small
city. Well, it's just crazy. And I think that goes back to don't spoil your children, because in a sense we're children of the United States, and the United States has been so good to us that a lot of us are spoiled. And because we've become spoiled, we don't understand that we don't have to sit and watch Netflix all day and eat Twinkies and then order some fucking takeout, and just get fat all day. And just, you can do that. You have the free will to do that. But it's like, is that what you should be doing?
Shit, bro. The way technology's taking over everything, the movie that seems the most realistic in about 100 years is WALL-E.
WALL-E? Oh, bro, it's been so long since I watched WALL-E.
Well, the whole gist of it, and it's been a long time since I watched it too, is just that the people are so lazy because technology starts doing everything for them.
Okay.
And so they just sit in a chair all day and their teeth get brushed for them. Their food gets brought to them. They don't do anything. They're just floating around on these chairs and they're all fat. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's the movie because, I mean, and another thing we could talk about is how technology's taking all these jobs. People are going to have to start to develop skills that robots or technology can't do. Like humanized skills that, okay, I'm not working at Walmart or McDonald's anymore checking people out because they're self-checkout.
Right. But I don't understand the concept of some people trying to fight against it rather than trying to just figure it out and then use it to their advantage. Like, you see some people will literally stand in line at McDonald's where there is a cashier because their whole thesis is, well, I refuse to give these robots the job. I want this person to have the job. Like, bro, standing in line is not going to change anything.
You're not changing.
It's coming whether you like it or not. Go pay at the fucking self-checkout, brother.
And those are just the rebels of the world, because like you were saying earlier, you can give somebody the perfect scenario or the perfect opportunity to do the thing they're supposed to do.
Right.
And they just want to do the opposite just because they want to go against the grain.
Yep.
Yeah,
I know a few of those.
And there's a lot of people like that, and hey, that's what you want to do, more power to you. But
yeah, one thing that I would say to anybody who's struggling with and trying to embrace the new culture of technology is, why would you fight against something that is inevitable? Rather use it towards your advantage and start to become knowledgeable in that area so that you can try to use that to your advantage, because it's coming no matter what. I promise you, when taxis thought that they were going to go on forever and taxi was going to be a thing and you were going to be calling that 333 3333 every single time, they didn't see Uber coming in and just fucking their world up,
man.
And you're not gonna sit there and just like try to fight Uber and try to fight it. Like, it's coming no matter what. So, hey, what is this Uber app? How do I use it? How do I start driving for them? How does it work? And then you make that adaptation, and then you learn to be so. Like, for example, Redbox. Redbox used to be a thing. I remember I used to go to a fucking Walgreens.
One before that was Blockbuster.
Well, Blockbuster, right? It used to be a thing. I used to go and get, my Redbox. And Blockbuster used to be the shit, man. I remember going in there as a kid. I was stoked. But when Netflix came out and then streaming started to become popular, a lot of people were fighting that too. And inevitably, you don't see one Blockbuster, you don't see one it took over. Like, streaming is the thing. And so it's the same thing with this artificial intelligence that is coming out. And you should be proud and happy to be in the beginning of all this, because what are you going to do to make it benefit you? Like, if you knew that the technology was changing the way it is and you can use that to benefit you in some way, shape, or form, how would you do it? Yeah. You need to be asking those questions, because I promise you, when you're 60 years old and your grandchildren are reviewing history, and it comes to the very peak or the renaissance of artificial intelligence, they're going to be asking you, like, what were you doing when all of this was going on? Like, why didn't you capitalize on this, Grandpa?
And we live in such a adapt or die world, you know, that adapting to things you may not agree with at first is almost necessary.
Yeah.
Because, say, for example, in my personal life, I've never been somebody who likes to post a lot on social media,
right,
or post a lot of pictures or content, or,
right,
you know, that sort of things. But it's like, when you're running a business,
you don't have a choice.
You need an image,
yep.
you need content, you need to show that you're consistent. And unfortunately, in our demographic, in our age, social media is the way to do that.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not the only way in the world, no, but it's definitely the most relevant.
It's the primary source.
And something you'd have to adapt to if that's the lane you want to chase. So I've seen it in my life, you know, firsthand.
Yeah.
You know, it's like adapt or die. That's what's working right now, and you don't want to do that, then that's your choice. You know?
Yeah, 100%.
You're choosing to fall off.
Yeah, you're literally choosing to fall off if you're not choosing to adapt. And I talked about this the other day. One of the best skills you can possibly develop is the skill to figure it out. And I think as a human being, you have more than the capabilities you need to figure it out. We're the most adaptable species in history. You can literally put us in any scenario anywhere in the world, and if we have the desire, we will figure it out. So This is not any different. You can figure it out. Go out and do something that's going to impact your life in a positive manner with the opportunities that are presented to you. Right now you have the Chat GPT. Everybody and their mamas has heard about Chat GPT. Very few people have actually used it, and even fewer know how to use it strategically to help them. And so if you were to just be curious enough to go out and explore, okay, what's ChatGPT? Okay, let me go ahead and figure this out. Let me ask it a couple questions. Oh, wow, it can do this? Wow, how can I do that? How can I use that to simplify something over here?
How can I do this to speed up my workflow?
Yeah, to speed up my workflow, to help me out in things that if I had ChatGPT when I was in high school, I would have graduated with a 4.0. Yeah, that thing knows everything.
And I guess supposedly somehow they're really trying to crack down on that, because you could just say, write me an essay about
it'll write
this,
it, yeah.
and it'll write it in like 0.2 seconds.
Yeah.
So
there's
getting wicked.
Yeah, it's getting wicked out here, They're gonna have to adapt to it some way, shape, or form. But rather than run from it, use it to your advantage. It has never ever in history been easier to become quote unquote successful at whatever it is you want to do than today in 2024 going on to 2025. Yeah. It has never been easier.
Whether it's becoming successful or just developing a skill or just learning about something, within the means of your pocket, if you have a smartphone, you have something called Google, and you can ask Google any question in the world and it will give you an answer.
Yeah, it's like you say, if you want to figure out how to do something, just ask the right questions.
Yeah.
Just ask the right questions. The right questions will get you there. And I think that's one thing that most people don't do, is actually try and ask a significant question to better their life.
Well, they say the thing that separates people is thinking.
Yeah.
They say thinking is actually hard, and some people think, some people don't. And then I heard another quote that said he separates the world into two categories, just learners and non-learners.
Yeah.
Because it's like if you're learning, then if you're learning, then nobody can stop you. But if you're not willing to learn,
right,
nobody can help you.
Yeah, not at all. I agree with that 100%. The learners and the non-learners. And I think that's one other thing that I hope in the future does become more of a popular thing, is to learn, to actually go out and learn.
And to try.
Yeah, like actually try, actually try. Not just kind of try, like a real effort where you actually are like, damn, like I'm actually trying and this is stressful.
Yeah.
Hello.
I'm on a podcast.
You're good. That was Isaiah's mom, guys. But yeah, actually try. If most people actually tried, they would actually get so much further in life. But what most people do is they actually just do one thing and then they think they failed and then they stop. And that's not actually trying. Actually trying is, I'm going to figure this out until I figure it out. Like for example, when you had algebra at school, in high school or whatever grade you were in, and you were never learned algebra before, and you actually try and you actually learn, there's a difference between that and then actually just trying to do like 2 or 3 problems and then not understanding it and then just cheating off your friend or whatever. Like actually trying means you actually put in the effort and you actually see some results from what it is that you're doing. There's a difference in that, and I would argue that most people don't actually try. They like to talk like they try, but they don't actually try. And that's the difference in separating the people who actually go further in life and the people who stay stagnant in the same place that they've always been and will probably always be. Because if you can't do something so simple like control your own brain and control your own body and control your own thoughts and put all that focused energy into doing what it is you want to do, what can you actually control? Some people can't even control their diet. They're just putting food in their mouth and they don't even, they have no control of what's going in their mouth. Like they're not even hungry, they're just eating. That's an actual disorder, by the way. And so if you can't even control what goes in your mouth, I mean, what can you actually control? If you can't even control your thought patterns, what can you actually control? Because every time you have a thought that comes to mind, you either have the ability to be able to accept that thought or reject that thought. And I think that's one thing that people fail to see, is that every thought that comes to mind is not your thought. It's just a thought. And then whether you choose to accept it or not, then you give it ownership. So if you get a thought right now where, I don't know, let's just say somebody did you dirty, and then in your mind you're like, oh, I'm gonna do that person even dirtier. That's just a thought. It doesn't have any ownership until you actually say, okay, I'm gonna accept this thought. Yeah, I'm gonna accept that. Or you say, okay, that is a thought, but is that what I actually want to do? No, I don't want to do that. So you reject that thought. So that thought is just a thought. You don't give it life until you accept it one way or another, right? And I think that that's one thing that a lot of people, especially with mental health, struggle with, is a lot of people believe that every thought they have belongs to them.
They identify
with it. Yeah. And so the more thoughts that you identify with, because I promise you,
the more confused you are.
I promise you, we all have nasty thoughts at one point in our life or another. I promise you. Sometimes I have a thought where I'm like, why am I even thinking like that? That is so stupid. Why would I think like that? And I reject it immediately, But I know I'm not the only one. I know for a fact I'm just one of the few people that are willing to acknowledge that I have nasty thoughts at times. But I promise you, if you are out there and you think you have a nasty thought and you must be the only one, no, we all have nasty thoughts at times.
I think in it's Eckhart Tolle's book, he talks about a thing called Maya. It's like an old ancient Indian thing.
Okay.
That basically is the study of the dysfunction of the brain.
Okay.
And it says that every single human has dysfunction of the brain.
Oh, wow.
And then he ties into that. He says the dysfunction of the brain is the ego.
Yeah.
Is what we call the ego. That's our dysfunction, is identifying with those thoughts or identifying with that negativity, or depending on what we place I on.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is mine, or this is I, or this is me.
Right.
When in all actuality, all that stuff is not really you. Especially if it's materialistic. Like a lot of people say, if you're into cars, a lot of people really heavily identify with that, or maybe a certain football team.
Right.
I'm this fan.
Yeah.
Or this is my car.
Right.
When all actuality is just a piece of metal with a couple wheels that you don't own.
It becomes their identity.
It becomes their identity.
Yeah.
And that's how you can spot the ego, is what people start to identify with.
Right.
You know, because it's like, say, I'm a high school teacher. Okay, you might be a teacher, but
that's not who you are.
You really? You know what I mean? Or
yeah.
I'm a principal. Or
right.
I'm this. I'm that. I'm an engineer. That's cool. But
who actually are you?
Who are you?
Yeah.
Like, that's a job title, man-made.
Do you feel like you've come to the realization of figuring out who it is you actually are without the titles?
I think it's an ever-learning process. It's a lifelong process of just peeling away the weeds of everything that's been placed in front of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything that you thought was right, or everything that you thought you were identifying with.
Yeah.
But yeah, because at the core, you know, depending on which route you choose to identify with, positive or negative, you know, at the core, it's just supposed to be like love, light, gratitude, peace, harmony, you know, stuff like that. So I like to identify with phrases like that rather than just titles, you know.
I love it.
Phrases that can describe your energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, think in terms of energy rather than physicality. I think that was hitting the nail on the head right there. I think that you're certainly right. I believe that we're supposed to evolve and you're supposed to change. And every new level of evolution should come with a new vocabulary. That's one thing that I'm actually fighting with myself right now. I curse a lot. It's just naturally who I am. I curse a lot. And even on video, on just in person, I curse a lot, you know. But to the level of consciousness that I'm getting at and my level of understanding, I'm starting to question myself on whether I should be cursing as much as I should be cursing. You know?
That's a self battle.
It's a self battle for sure. But I say that every new level of consciousness comes with a new level of vocabulary. So you're not going to be speaking the same way that you've been speaking before you knew the things you knew now.
Yeah.
And I almost feel guilty at times because the things that I know now are so powerful, yet I still bring some of my old dialect into it, you know? I think part of it has to do with how young I am and being relatable to people within our age demographic, you know? But I also feel like I should be setting an example of not trying to just be relatable, but trying to be, hey, like, every time you experience something new in your life and you come to a new understanding, you don't have to carry that old identity with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's a battle with, not only with myself, I'm sure everybody struggles with it. Like I say, one of the things that is incredible about me is just how I can be so open and vulnerable and not really care. You know, I can talk about the things that I go through. I can talk about the defects that I have in my life. Most people can't do that. They can't come on camera and tell you, hey, I struggle with this or I struggle with that. I'm an open book. And I learned that from one of my mentors, where he's on camera all day, every day, and you see the good and the bad. And I disagree with a lot of the stuff he says, but some of the things he says is, you know, powerful. And one of the things he says is, I'm on camera all the time because if the world sees everything about me, my perfections and my imperfections, I have nothing to hide. And so it doesn't matter to me. You can go ahead and talk shit about me or say what you're going to say. It doesn't matter. I've let it all out. And that kind of made sense to me, you know? But at the same time, I disagree with just putting your whole life out there.
Yeah, I think.
But it seems to work for him. He puts his whole life out there. I mean, everything. This guy is on there all day long. And I'm just like, damn, dude, he must be doing something right. He drives a Bugatti, so he does a lot of the financial things right that I'd like to do. But then a lot of the things where it comes into, like, I don't know, certain values or certain morals, he just doesn't have them. And so I struggle with, like, listening to certain things he has to say, because I'm like, I see you have the results that I want with certain things, but then you don't with other things, you know? Like he's happy about being in a toxic relationship. And he just proudly talks about it like, "Oh yeah, we're toxic. We're like," he's happy about that. And I'm like, I don't know if you should be happy about being in a toxic relationship, bro.
Some people like it.
So yeah, he thrives on that shit, bro.
They like
he thrives on that shit.
Gives them energy.
Yeah, I don't get it. I could never thrive in a toxic relationship. I've been in a toxic relationship before, and it drains you, bro. It drains you. I could never do that. But hey, he must be doing something right financially, you know. So that's why I listen to certain things he has to say, is because he has some of the physical things I'd like to have. But as far as like certain morals, certain values, and then just like certain beliefs, he lacks it. And I think that that's one thing that people should dissect from people that they look up to or people that they want to be like is, do you want everything that they have, or do you just want certain things that they have? Because most people will think, okay, this guy has the life I want, and they're going to do everything this guy does, but then they fail to understand that, sure, he has all the physical qualities that you want to have, but then when it comes to the spiritual side, when it comes to family, when it comes to your morals, when it comes to your virtues, he's lacking all that, but yet you still embody everything he is. I mean, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
So you should extrapolate what works for you and then leave the rest on the table.
Yep. I was gonna say that like 5 minutes ago, but you came full circle to it. Is take what you need and leave what you don't.
Yeah.
Because when you start to seek information from, you know, different sources and people you don't know or whatever it may be, there's gonna be things you don't agree with.
Right.
You know, it's not made to be everybody disagrees with everybody all the time.
Right.
You know, the world wouldn't even spin.
Right.
There would be no opposites, you know?
Right. No polarity.
But take what you need, leave what you don't. You know, if you like what he said at 2 minutes and don't agree with what he said at 5 minutes, soak in the 2 minutes,
Yeah,
let
leave
go
the
to
rest.
5 minutes.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
100%. And that's I think a lot of people don't even realize that that's a struggle that they might have, because you know, you learn something new from somebody and you're like, "Oh my god, this is new information. I can't believe I never looked at it that way." And so you subconsciously start to become biased. You start to think that everything this person says you start to agree with. But you don't really take time out of your day to figure out that there's certain things that you don't agree with. You're just so infatuated by the things he did right that you try to just sweep under the rug the things he did wrong.
That's
you know?
almost like ignoring red flags.
Yeah,
In a relationship.
for sure.
Shit, they did these two things right.
Yeah. I sweep everything else under the rug. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I mean, let's leave them off with some last words to walk into 2025. And then we'll go. We're excited, by the way. We have so much content coming out in 2025. I'm going to be dropping videos once a week. Monday's the designated day, but at least once a week. So we're definitely excited. It's going to be for the podcast, and then I'll be dropping personal stuff as well. But you guys are going to be hearing a whole lot more. So definitely excited to walk into 2025. Got some new gear. New cameras coming in the way, and then a whole new setup. I have a whole different. We both have a whole different vision, so we're working on that, on the whole new setup, and we're excited to walk into 2025 and be able to just do what we love, create content on the things that have helped us in our life, and hopefully be able to impact many lives in a positive manner, where if they just hear a message in a certain way, it makes them want to be a better person. So what do you want to leave us off with?
I'll leave off with a question. And the question is, who are you hurting by not being the best version of yourself?
Who are you hurting by not being the best version of yourself? I love that.
Or who are you hurting because you're not fulfilling your passion or your purpose? Who could benefit from you doing that thing that you want to do, but you haven't started?
That's powerful. Really think about that, guys. I don't think a lot of people actually think of it in the terms of who am I hurting by not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.